Hey there, horror movie tea sippers.
The following podcast will contain spoilers for the movie we are about to review. If you have not seen the movie and do not wish to have anything ruined prematurely, then please do not continue to listen until after you have seen the movie.
And welcome to the Horror Movie Tea Podcast. And so, if we sound tired, it's because this is the second time we're recording because of computer issues, so sorry in advance. And what makes me mad is I felt like the recording was going really well. So, I'm bitter.
Technical issues happen.
Yeah.
But today we're doing Train to Busan.
For a third week of Asian Horror Month.
Yes.
And so I initially was drinking the Celestial Seasonings honey vanilla chamomile tea to...
Did you get more?
No, to help calm my feels. But now I'm drinking it so I don't freaking explode. What are you drinking?
I am drinking Bigelow Benefit Stress-Free tea. It's a rose and mint herbal tea. And it's been keeping me pretty calm over here. I'm perfectly fine.
And let me say, thank God I have the heating plate thing that I have for the tea. Okay, so whenever we initially recorded this episode, I was like, oh, and if you guys ever using huge tea mugs and you sip it slowly, but you want it to keep hot, use the mug warmer. Like the one I'm using is by Mr. Coffee, and I think it's like under $15. But now I'm using it because this recording session is taking longer than anticipated. But oh well, it happens.
Stuff happens.
Yep.
The things we do.
Yes, but Train to Busan. All right, so
This is fine.
This movie is about a father who is taking his daughter on a train to go see her mother. And while they're on the train, they're seeing news reports about these riots that are going on in the city and all around the country, in all of the major cities. And they're like, what the heck's going on? Well, I forgot to preface this. This is a Korean zombie movie. And so, of course, it wasn't actual riots. It was the zombie apocalypse breaking loose. And one of the zombies made their way into the train. And so as the train is going, it's just a domino effect where she attacks what do you call it? Train attendant?
A stewardess?
Thank you. Yeah, that sounds right.
I guess.
And it just snowballs. And since they're in a tube, they essentially block off the infected in each of the cars. And the people that are okay just keep moving up. And so the movie goes through their struggles with that and what they're doing to try and overcome it. And there's a point in time where they stop by a train station because they had reports saying that was safe and it was protected by the military. But once they get there, they find out that the military had been overrun and the military are now zombies. So after they get back on the train and go again, they find that Busan is legitimately supposed to be good because I forgot what they say.
They excel in defense or something like that.
Okay. And so the movie focuses on them finding a safe area, and then the last half of the movie focuses on them going to Busan. So entertainment. I would rate this movie a 7. And this is an extremely solid movie. There's just a handful of things that didn't exactly hit the mark on me, but I love the character development. They don't go overboard with it. They give you just enough. And even the characters that you don't necessarily know their background, those characters have enough chemistry to them and they give them enough screen time that you really end up enjoying seeing those characters. What about you?
I give it an 8. This movie really hits you in the feels. There's a lot of really, really good character development, and it's just really well done and well thought out. The effects are great. The story is really, really good. It almost made me cry at the end.
Cry.
I know, it did make you cry.
Single tear.
But it's very difficult for a movie to make me cry. So for it to almost get me to that point, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
It is one of the better zombie movies that I've seen. It is a foreign film, but you can still really relate to the characters, and a lot of the situations are very, very believable. So it's like a solid 8 for me.
Yeah. Yeah. The character development is phenomenal, and the only complaint I have is the CG at times is pretty unrealistic. Like, you can very much tell that's CG.
Yeah, but it wasn't as distracting, or it didn't take away quite as much as a lot of other movies that we've seen.
Yeah, it's not like
This
it's a
one
sci-fi
was-
original CG. It's better than that.
Oh no, this one was definitely better. You can tell they definitely took their time in the editing and the animation of it. So it looks a lot closer to reality than most other movies. And most of the time when they use it, it's generally when there's a whole bunch of zombies and they're kind of like tripping over each other.
Yeah.
And falling down in kind of a wave of bodies. So they don't use it much.
No.
They just sprinkle it in here and there, and it's only when it's really needed and when it would make sense to, which we really appreciate. Because a lot of other movies nowadays use it for everything.
Yeah, like
need it.
Whenever there's a group of zombies, it's all people. It's not CG. And like at the end of the movie, we were talking is like they had so many extras. That's
many extras.
You never see that nowadays.
No idea how they use so many extras, how they got that many people. I don't know if they went and pulled them off the street, gave them $5 or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they pulled so many people for the extras, and I'm sure they probably reused some of them, which would make sense because otherwise, oh my God, how big was your budget?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's no way you're paying that many.
Yeah, and I really like how they made these zombies act. Like their movements, it's like whenever they're first transitioning, they kind of zone out. But for the most part, they're very like jerky movements, and you hear a lot of that cracking that you hear in a lot of other Asian horror films. And so it's just kind of almost like a nice hybrid of it.
Yeah.
But they definitely make them very feral.
Very feral. These are not the slow, shambling, you can walk faster than they move kind of zombies. These are like, they're a little bit closer to like World War Z. They run. They run and they jump and they're terrifying.
Yeah. And
there is a very real sense of urgency in trying to get away from them.
Yeah. And they're not the smartest zombies, which I don't mind.
It's kind of makes sense that they're not.
And their weaknesses do create some really cool tense scenes. Like if the zombies can't see the people, then they're not aggressive. So a lot of the times whenever they would shut the door, they would put like newspaper over it, or at one point in time they used like a fire extinguisher to kind of cloud the window. But there's a part where the husband and father get separated from the pregnant mother and
the daughter.
And they have to make their way through zombie-infested train cars.
Yes.
And so they utilize...
They had to go through so many cars, guys. They were in car 9, and they were trapped in the washroom in car 13.
But it's amazing because in every single car, they get past the zombies a different way. They don't fight the entire way. And that's brilliant because you never see that uniqueness in zombie movies. It's always like, oh, we got a machine gun, we're going to blow them down. Or, yeah.
It also makes more sense that they would use different techniques and things, because if you fight the entire way there, you're going to be dead tired, just exhausted by the end of like the second or third cart, and you have that many to go through. There's no way you're gonna make it the entire time. Plus, once you get them, they were in a horrible spot, the ones they were trying to get to, because they were in between a whole bunch of zombies here, they were right here, and there were more zombies here.
Yeah.
So once you get to them, you still have to get through more zombies to get to another safe car.
Yeah. It's like I remember saying this in the initial recording, so I'm going to say it in this recording. So like on the character development, like the characters that they don't say a lot about, they give them a lot of chemistry. So for instance, there's this pregnant wife and her husband, and the husband, like the wife, she has the husband wrapped around her finger. Like he talks tough, but the minute she starts like
teddy bear,
like cussing at him or like getting angry, he's like, baby, it's okay. Like he will bend over backwards for her, and it's so sweet. I love this.
She like whacks him at one point. Go help her.
Yeah. I like. They're definitely my favorite characters
ever.
Yeah.
He looks like a giant goofball, and he's this like big strong dude,
he's
he's like a teddy bear. He was also the biggest badass in the entire movie, and it's heartbreaking when he goes.
Yeah.
Because you can just see their chances of survival just start to really dwindle after he's gone.
Yeah.
Honestly, when he went, I was like, well, they're gonna die.
Yeah. And the movie does the tense scenes so well.
Yes.
I mean, it makes you shout at the TV, but, you know, if they weren't doing it well, then we'd be laid back like, oh, everything's fine. So it's like, even though I hate feeling so tense that I feel like I need to shout out the TV, it does mean that they're doing the scene right for the most part. So
I love it. During a lot of these movies, you're like over here curled in a blanket or like trying to close your ears and all, and I'm over here yelling at you, put your hands down.
Not this movie, though.
This movie, I don't even have time to look over at you. I'm just really engrossed in the movie. Like, at one point, my husband closed the door so he wouldn't disturb us while he was doing something in the kitchen. We had no idea that he had ever even come near the room.
Yeah.
I just turned after the movie's over and realized that the door's shut and I'm in here with Amy.
Like, this is a 2-hour movie. It does not feel like a 2-hour movie. It doesn't feel like it. It is.
It doesn't feel like it. Awesome. It's intense almost the entire time.
Yeah.
The beginning is a little bit more calm, a little more slow, but basically once they get on the train and once those doors close and you know that there was someone that was bit on the train, from that point on, it is intense.
Yeah.
Super intense.
And I'd say it's probably the last third that it starts really hitting you in the feels.
Oh my God.
It starts killing off, like, it kills off the husband, and then they establish these two older sisters, and the oldest sister is always taking care of the younger one. And the younger one's like, why you stop trying to take care of me? You're older. You should be the one to sit down. And she's like, no, it's okay. And so she's
like very much the protective big sister.
Yeah.
Kind of motherly, like, I need to take care of her. She's my sister.
Yeah.
Super, super sweet. And, like, the little girl gives up her seat for the older sister to sit down so they can both sit down.
Yeah.
And the lady gives her like a piece of candy. It's so freaking cute and sweet.
Aww.
And the dad's such a jerk when he pulls her aside and is like, think about yourself in these situations. Don't worry about anyone else.
Yeah.
And she just comes out and says, Grandma's knees always hurt her.
I know. I know. This little girl will pull out your heartstrings. I believe the character in the movie, her name is Suwon.
Suwon. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she is precious.
Most precious little thing ever. She's so kind.
Mm-hmm.
She has such a huge heart, and you can see it really early on and all throughout the movie. It doesn't change. She's like the kindest, sweetest little girl ever.
Yeah. I love the character growth that they give the father. He can kind of be a jerk in the beginning, but as I said during the movie, or I guess right after, I feel like he wasn't actually a bad person. He just lost perspective. He became a workaholic, and he wasn't giving his daughter the amount of time that she needed and he needed, quite frankly. And he didn't realize that until this started happening. And
he got so caught up in, I need to provide for her. I need to work hard so that I'm successful, so that she has everything she needs. And he just lost perspective.
Mm-hmm.
His priorities were out of whack.
And one thing I noticed, too, in the beginning of the movie, whenever he has any sort of contact with his daughter, it's very almost distant and almost like he has a wall up. Mm-hmm. But then as the movie progresses, whenever he's touching her, you see he's like taking a moment to take in her features and really...
He's really trying to see her.
Yeah, be more mindful and be like, this is my daughter. And yeah, this movie, like, it does such a good job. And the fact that, okay, so he transitions to a better person where he's realizing what he did. And then he does everything he can to protect his daughter, and then he gets infected. I mean, it's super sad whenever the sister and the husband die, but whenever the father has time to say goodbye to the daughter, and the daughter is bawling, and he starts crying, and that's whenever I started crying. It just... Oh,
it's a chain reaction, guys.
It's like, it's not like he's doing silent tears. He is sobbing. It is,
Well, he doesn't want to go, and she is begging him not to go, to stay with her.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she's in this horrible situation. He's the only one that she knows, and you can tell she really does love her dad.
Yeah.
And she just doesn't want to lose him. But he knows that there's no getting around it. He's infected. Like, he only has a short amount of time, and he doesn't want to be the one to harm his daughter.
Yeah.
It's just a heartbreaking scene when he's telling her goodbye and saying, you know, stay with her, with the pregnant lady. You'll be safe with her. Busan is safe. I've heard that it is safe. You will be okay there. Yeah. And your mom's there, and just, you know, stay safe and stay with her. And then he leaves her and closes the door, and you can just hear the daughter screaming and crying
and then he's
for her dad. And he gets to the other side where he can't see them, and he just breaks down. And he starts to remember her as an infant, like when she was born.
Scene, though.
And just
I know, like, seeing like the flashbacks and how as he's transitioning, you see he's smiling. It hurts, but it's also beautiful at the same time. And man,
it is. But it's just so sad. And there was this. He had missed her recital where she had practiced a song for him, and she couldn't finish it because she didn't see him there. And then at the very end, she never got to sing the song for him. She started singing it in the tunnel. And that's the only reason why they weren't shot dead.
Yeah.
Was because they realized if they're singing, they're not infected.
Yeah, because before, you know, they're coming from a dark tunnel to outside. And so the military are looking through a scope into the tunnel. And so all they see is their shadow. And they can't confirm whether or not they're infected from a shadow.
They weren't about to take a chance.
Yeah.
But then she started singing, and they realized that they are survivors, and they went to go help them.
Yeah.
So,
like,
just,
movie
with the feels.
I'll be honest and say I'm not normally a fan of zombie movies. It's just not really my thing. But this movie is, it's my favorite zombie movie of all time. And as far as like horror movies go, great, like
super intense.
Yes.
Super intense.
Yeah. Anything you want to add before we move on to the realism scale?
Yeah, they have the opposite end of the spectrum as well. They don't just like tug at your heartstrings.
Yeah,
they
make
you
mad.
punch someone in the face because some of these characters are real pieces of work. And you can tell that they're really just acting out of fear and self-preservation.
Yeah.
But like if you think for a minute, you can help them and you will all be safe. And have even more space in between you and the zombies.
Yeah. Well, like the businessman, like this is one thing that
he was the most
you see
so much.
A lot more in Asian movies than you do in American. Like American movies are very like, this is good, this is bad. And it's very rare that you see them kind of play around with, well, are they really that bad? Are they really that good? So they make you hate this businessman because he's been an absolute jerk the entire movie. But then at the very end, he gets infected. And as he's transitioning, he's saying how scared he is and how he just wanted to, go see his mom to protect her and help her. And so you see a side of him that wasn't shown before. And it makes you feel empathy towards him to the end, at least to me. But, I mean, it just shows his motivation. It wasn't necessarily completely selfish.
Well, I was saying the whole time, like, you can really see he's a scared man.
Yeah.
Like, he is just terrified.
Yeah.
And that's why he's acting the way he is. He is petrified.
Yeah.
And he is acting out of fear. And it made the movie seriously believable.
Yeah.
Because of the way he was acting. I could easily see something like that happening and people like that getting others to believe them and listen to them and act the way they're saying to act because of fear.
Yeah.
So I could easily see that. It made it very, very believable. But at the same time, he was a raging jerk the entire movie. Yeah. And I can't really feel that bad for him.
Every time he got a chance to sacrifice someone so he could be saved, he would do it in a split second. And honestly,
even when it wasn't needed,
it got kind of predictable.
Yes.
But
and at one point, he threw this high school girl in front of a zombie that was chasing him, and she ended up getting attacked like right away. And I'm just sitting here like, because they had just busted the window. I'm sitting here, pull his butt back at the zombie and jump out the window yourself, dude. And of course the high school dude stays with the high school chick. It gets attacked by her anyway.
Yeah.
And he gets away again.
Yeah, because he
gets away again.
Because the high school guy, that was the one where she is trying to get him to go out with her, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like
he didn't really seem that interested, but situations like that, like she was the only one left that he knew that was okay. Yeah. And to lose her at the very end, it's just everything. Everyone he knew was gone. He had already had to see the rest of his team. He was a baseball player, and he was on the train with his team and with her. She was apparently a cheerleader or something that really liked him. And he already saw his team turned.
Yeah.
And had to get past them to help get the others safe and all. So to have to see everyone that you knew like that, and then he found her and she was safe. And they were together and they looked like they were gonna maybe make it through it, and then she got infected. And now everyone you know is officially turning.
I kind of feel like he maybe had a little bit of a crush on her, and he was just maybe too nervous to come out in front of everyone else.
Maybe.
I don't know. I shipped
There was
them.
a lot of pressure on him too. Like that.
Yeah, they're like,
guys,
accept her love. Like all of them
I
are
know.
shouting. You're like, accept her, accept her. Like, ooh.
Dude, back off. Maybe they should talk about this on their own.
Yeah.
Jeez.
But
it was very sad.
Yeah. So, realism. I have to think on my scale rating. Do you have an idea on what you're going to rate it?
I'm going to rate it a little bit higher than I normally do. I'm going to say about a 6, maybe a 7. There were some things that aren't very believable, like a lot of the communications and all being out, like the
radio.
Even especially the radios, like just the handheld walkie-talkies. I'm sorry. The radio waves are not going to suddenly stop because there are zombies nearby. No. The only reason why that thing is not working is if you change the frequency, which they didn't, or it just runs out of battery, which it was clearly on. So there are some things that I'm like, bull on, but on the whole, I think it was very, very well thought out and well done. And the reactions were really spot on. Mm-hmm. So apart from, the waves of bodies and all, and certain communications being out, I can accept some, but not all of them.
Yeah.
Especially on a lot of the older communications that aren't digital. No, those would still be working.
I think I gotta agree. I would maybe a 7, but for sure a solid 6. Mm-hmm. This movie does
easily
a pretty
a
good
6,
job.
yeah.
Like especially like the reactions and the dynamic of all of the people. And they obviously took a lot of care into fleshing out the characters and making them real people.
Yeah. And we see so many different kinds of reactions too. That's what's amazing to me. So you see the panicked homeless dude that is just shaking with fear and just keeps muttering, everyone's dead. Everyone's dead. They're all dead. And then you see the businessman jerk that acts out of fear and is highly self-preservation motivated and pushes people into the zombies to save himself. And then you have the bleeding hearts that are insisting on saving everyone. Oh. And you have to at least save them and take care of them. And then you have the others that are just, they're kind of sheep a little bit. They follow along with whoever they feel like is in the most authority or seems to really know what they're doing or talking about. And they're just scared too. And you can see that. And most of them are very quiet and all. And then you see the younger sister of the two older ladies that after watching her older sister sacrifice herself so the others could get through the door, she is just broken. And she's talking to her zombie sister through the door. Why did you do that? So stupid. Good riddance. I can't believe you would do something like that. You're always thinking of other people before yourself. Why do you do that? And then finally just opens the door.
Yeah.
So many different reactions, and it's all 100% believable.
Yeah. This movie, hopefully you guys have seen this movie, but if you haven't, you absolutely need to see it. I believe it's on Netflix.
It's on Prime
too. Well,
I'm not sure about Netflix.
Yeah, it's on Amazon Prime, and I believe I originally watched it on Netflix, but they may have taken it off. I don't remember.
But it's definitely on Prime, and you can watch that for free. We watched it on the Watch Party feature. Mm-hmm. So you can stream it with another person, like we did, for social distancing. And they do have a chat that pulls up on the side, too. So if you don't have a way to talk to each other, like we do with the webcams and headsets and things like that, you can still type to each other in the text chat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's really good there. It is well worth the watch. It will tug on your heartstrings. Have a box of tissues.
Yeah, be prepared. Be emotionally prepared to handle the carnage that it wrecks on your heart.
It is a zombie movie. There will be death. There is a little bit of gore. Surprisingly, not as much as I expected.
No, it's
with
not
this kind
too
of movie.
bad. Yeah.
And there were some things that was part of the realism that I forgot to touch on. There were some wounds that would have bled more. A lot more. Like when the dad gets bit on the hand. There'd have been more blood coming out of that bite. But okay. But they were just little minor things here and there for the most part that I had an issue with. So that's really good for a movie like this.
Yeah.
Most of the time zombie movies are like 0% believable. But they're still fun to watch. I still like them.
Yeah, and I think
this one is worth it.
I think it's also cool that they touch on the infrastructure and how like the whole country is handling it. I mean, not super well, but they're doing what they can with the information they have. And it's also interesting that they low-key made the father involved in the company that had accidentally let the virus loose. But he was the funds manager, so...
Yeah, we're not entirely sure how connected he was to the incident, but he clearly... There is a scene where he seems like he feels partially responsible. Like, he's crying after he hears what company it came from, and a guy that works for him is asking, "We didn't do this, did we? We weren't involved in this, right?" Then he just kind of breaks down a little bit.
Yeah.
But he has to put on another brave face, go out there, be there for his kid, and just get through the situation.
Yeah. Oh, man. This, so many good things about this movie that, I love this movie. So I don't want to keep going on and on about...
Because we could.
Yeah.
All day.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched it, give it a watch and let us know what your thoughts are, what your rating scale would be, and, if you enjoyed the same parts that we did, or if there's other things that you enjoyed or would have done differently, then let us know.
And what are your other favorite zombie movies?
Yes.
This is definitely one of ours.
For sure.
But what are your favorite zombie movies? We want to see some more. So until then, stay safe and stay spoopy, guys.
Bye.
Bye.